outside, those inside Malaysia who say this social contract is actually state racism. What do you say to them?
Oh, I can say the worst about Israel. It's really state racism. In our case, we don't have that provision. You have to look at it, I think, in objectively. I don't think it is right to look at Malaysia as a racist country. I don't think it is right. You should see how the infusion of cultures, the getting together, the people get along together. Yes, you can find there are people who disagree with it. There are certain things that people say, oh, it's not perfect. I will be the last person that say this is a perfect situation. But I think we have succeeded in building a multiracial society out of our diversity. We have succeeded in bringing the whole of the Malaysian community, even against a diverse background, together, to work together. There will come a time, where if it is the choice of the people, because one person is one vote.
When do you think that time will come?
That's up to the voters. That's up to the voters.
Because there are plenty of people outside Malaysia who look at it, and let's take a look at investors, because even if you think, look, it's absolutely fine, there are those who would invest in Malaysia, but choose not to do so. And here's an emerging markets fund manager, has cashed out most of his fund's investment in Malaysia because he says the problem is that the Malays would do a lot better as well if there weren't the restrictions. They've got the resources, they've got the people, they're just not harnessing them in the right way. And he suggests you roll back those measures to encourage entrepreneurial energy. And that was Mark Mobius, who's a fund manager with Franklin Templeton.
I think what he's saying, if there are 10 fund managers, there is one fund manager that say in that way, then I think he's entitled to his own view. But I think the majority of fund managers find that Malaysia is a good place for investment. It is a good place that gives good returns on investment. The Malaysian economy has grown because of foreign investment.
But why has it not grown as much as other countries?
I think we're quite happy that it has grown for the last, if you look at it from double digits, now we have grown about 6%.
But it's
so
slowing,
that is not a bad growth.
It's slowing, and your neighbouring countries are growing faster.
No, there are times that our neighbouring countries grow slower and we grow faster. I mean, you can't take one particular moment and say, oh, this is going faster, therefore it is because of it. I can actually give all sorts of clarification if I want to on so many things. But I think you have to look at it. Has it succeeded in creating peace and stability, in generating prosperity among the races? Have we succeeded in trying to infuse culture out of our diversity? We are better off than many other countries.
But my question is, will it continue to do so?
I think it will. I'm not in the same position that you are, that look at it negatively. I'm a Malaysian. My love for my country, my commitment to my country, I would say yes. Okay. I'm not going to allow any foreigners to tell me, oh, this is going to break. No, I will not allow that.
A recent survey on race relations in Malaysia found that 34% of those who were asked had never had a meal with citizens of other races. That the lives of different races within Malaysia are now so divided that you have different ways that they learn in separate schools, they eat separately, they work separately, they socialize separately. Does that worry you?
Well, if that happens as the way you see, of course it worries us. That's why we have been addressing the racial issues. We talk about among ourselves, I do not know whether you realize or not, we talk about the danger of polarization, the danger of us looking at ourselves separately. Of course we tackle this problem, but we recognize it can exist. But we have got a desire of tackling those issues. It's not we are saying, trying to brush everything under the carpet and say, oh, it doesn't exist. What exists, we recognize. But
why is society becoming increasingly divided? The Crown Prince of Perak makes the point that in his boyhood, that the different races mixed more freely. And he says some Malay majority schools have made the girls wear headscarves and even told people to avoid non-Malay homes. He points to this fact that lives are being lived more separately, increasingly so.
I think that is a very good comment that he has made. He is as much responsible as all of us are. All of us have to find a way. That means we have identified the problems that we have. The fact that a person wears a headscarf does not make a person an extreme. Does not make a person an extreme. What we want to avoid is extreme behavior, whether of faith or culture or customs. We need to work together. I think the most important thing, Sarah, if I can tell you, is to understand the issues and then try to address them. Not to look at the issues and say that, oh, it's getting worse. There is this problem, we need to tackle those problems. I'm not saying that there is no problem. That is the very
Do you not
thing that
accept
you are
that it's
saying.
getting worse? Because I mean, I quote the Crown Prince to you. There's a prominent historian, Kukai Kim, says it's becoming increasingly difficult for the people of various ethnic groups to participate in common activity.
No, I think this is what the Malaysians have addressed. All of us are talking about it. It's not something that is alien that you are telling me that this exists. We know that.
But
that's
it's
why we
getting
are
worse.
taking steps.
But do you not accept it's getting worse?
No, I think race relations all over the world is getting worse. Polarization all over the world is getting worse. But it does not mean you should give up. We know it exists, but we want to take steps to overcome them. That's why our current government is giving the opportunity for everyone to talk about it and then try to provide solutions. One of the things that we have done in the Merdeka celebration is to make that sense of participation, that every race, because we know there is that problem of polarization, division, people go to Chinese school, go to Tamil school, they don't mix with each other. So all these, we are handling and tackling them. I'm not going
What
to...
are you going to do about the schools then?
The schools, we need to overcome the problem of sensitivities. We wanted to establish the integrated school where everyone study their language, study the medium of instruction under one schools. But here in this particular case, the Chinese, that's not one. They want a separate school of their own. So now what we have done in the national school, we have brought in that you can study Chinese, you can study Tamil, you can study other ethnic. You can't get that in other places. So I think we recognize there are problems, but it is not a problem that we cannot overcome.
Article 11 of the Malaysian Constitution says every person has the right to profess and practice his religion. Increasingly, that seems to be becoming meaningless, is it?
I don't think so. I don't agree with you. You are talking about practicing their own religion. Malaysia is one of the places that you can see the practice of multi-religion. In all religions exist in Malaysia. But if you are talking about, converting one person, there is a different issue entirely.
Right. If a Muslim,
it's
a Muslim, and there have been some high-profile cases, and perhaps one of the most high-profile, Lena Joy, a Malay woman, she tried to convert to Christianity, and she wasn't allowed to.
No, I think you have made the whole thing turn into something that is negative. Lena Joy wanted to change her name. She was never not allowed to convert to Christianity or whatever religion that she has chosen. But a person is born with an identity card. There is a system that we have in Malaysia, the ID. And that ID you want to change, that creates problem. It's nothing to do with the fact that nobody has arrested her and forced her to become a Muslim, to come back or convert to become a Muslim. But the court decided on the basis that you cannot change your name in the ID. But she has got her own choice. She has made her own choice in wanting to be what she has chosen. I don't think we stop there.